Where am I? Ah, I didn't see you there. I did though. What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the Bit of Footy YouTube channel. So today we're going to go through a quick and easy round review. I'm going to be reviewing each and every game from round 3 of the AFL 2020 season. And yeah, I'm just going to give my takes on each game and what I liked, what I didn't like from teams and stuff like that. It's just going to be a quick little round wrap up. That's what the title is anyway. So yeah, let's just crack right into it and get into the first game. So the first game was on Thursday night between Richmond and Hawthorn. The Hawks taking this one out by 32 points, beating them 71-39. Another low score for Richmond coming out of the big break that we had when we headed into that break. Richmond had scored, I think it was like the largest score against Carlton. I think it was 105. And now 2 weeks in a row they've scored less than 40 points, although the week prior they did keep their opponent Collingwood also less than 40 points. But again, it was Richmond who came out in the first quarter scoreless. They did not kick a goal, I believe, and Hawthorn were all over them. Hawthorn did what Collingwood didn't do last week, which was take their opportunities when they came. Richmond turned the ball over a lot and Hawthorn were able to capitalise on the turnovers, which is good, especially considering last week when they got absolutely destroyed from the Cats in that category. And it was good to see a response from Hawthorn, especially when the Cats' small forwards absolutely dominated their backline. Their backline actually stood up this week, Hawthorn, against a good side in Richmond, a good forward side in Richmond. So, yeah, I think Revolt and Lynch, they're not working as well as they did in the last half of last season. And I think especially Revolt in that regards, he's not working as hard as he normally does from what I saw in the match. So I think Revolt and Lynch just need to pick up where they left off last season a little bit. They just don't seem to be working well together as a forward unit as of now. So yeah, I think Revolt just really needs to lift is basically what I'm saying. Next we had the Dogs versus the Giants. Not much to say about this game considering how low scoring it was, but I was surprised that the Bulldogs have won this game. I was going to say definitely again. But yeah, they came out really needing to win this game, the Dogs, and they did it. The Giants, though, on the other hand, are a bit disappointing, scoring 33 against the Bulldogs, who haven't won a game this season. I was expecting the Giants to come out with a lot of fire, especially after their loss to North Melbourne, but they didn't. They didn't respond like a good club should, which is strange because the Giants are definitely a very good club and they have a lot of talent. It was interesting to see the Dogs just seem to bully the Giants a bit, and they just took their opportunities well, the Dogs. Even though it was a low scoring game, it doesn't really matter. They just slowed the Giants' run down a bit, which definitely the Giants wouldn't have liked to happen. So the Dogs did well on that part. And they came out with a 24-point win over the Giants. First win of the season. Get up and about for the Bulldogs. North Melbourne versus Sydney came next. And from what I saw from North Melbourne the week prior, I thought, okay, this should be a certain win against the Swans, who have been struggling and they've been in a lot of close games. So they finally came out, well, they didn't finally came out, but they came out of this one a winner, unlike they did against the Bombers, which I think there's such a difference in the teams. Like the Swans just couldn't keep up with the Bombers because of the Bombers' speed, but against North Melbourne, they were able to sort of run North Melbourne out of their boots, I guess, because I don't know, North Melbourne just didn't really have the speed that Sydney had on the day, and Sydney definitely took control of that matter, I guess to say, and just had more control than North Melbourne did. They looked like a much more polished side than North Melbourne did on the day, which probably cost North Melbourne in the end. They had a lot of opportunities in the first half to make the game closer than it was at like halftime and three-quarter time. They did have a push at the end to almost steal the game, but they didn't, unfortunately, because I tipped North Melbourne. Collingwood versus St Kilda next up, and it was all Collingwood this game. I think I'm not being biased, and I think a lot of people can agree with me, but Collingwood seriously look like a threat this season, and I'm saying that because St Kilda have a lot of great talent in their side nowadays, and they've challenged two very good teams. They challenged North Melbourne to only lose by 2, and they beat the Bulldogs by a couple of goals. So they are a very good team, and they just look up and about when they're going. Like, there was parts in this game where they looked up and about. They looked ready for the challenge with their speed and stuff. But Collingwood just took a lot of control of the game, took a lot of the speed out of the St Kilda side, and just had more ball control than the Saints did. They had more polished movement than the Saints did, and that just comes down to the talent really from both sides. The Pies, they've had a couple of years to work with their talent to really get it clicking together, and they've done that really well, where the Saints have got new players coming in from other clubs, which will take a bit for them to click into the club. Even though they are very good players, they still got to click into their roles and stuff. So it'll take a bit for that to happen, especially against the good sides like Collingwood, and it'll be a good test to see how they respond this week against Richmond, who are also a very good side, obviously, because, you know, they won the premiership last year. Brisbane versus West Coast came up next. Why am I doing this? But yeah, the Lions came out victors, 30-point win over the Eagles, and I said in my prediction video that the Eagles would probably cope best in their hub because they probably wouldn't care about anything that's going around, but it seems to be the opposite of what I was saying. It seems like they're actually struggling in their hub. And I don't know if it's the hub itself or if it's just like they're playing away in Brisbane, like know the ground well and blah blah blah. But it seems to me like it could be the hub. I'm not too sure. They just seem out of whack a little. But the Lions, to be fair to the Eagles, they kept the Lions to a low score in the first and second quarter. But then the Lions definitely revved up their engines and put the pedal on the metal and started to break out the lead a bit. And from when it was like 25 points, I think the Lions were going to win from there because, you know, shortened quarters. So even if you get out to a 4-goal or 5-goal lead or even 3-goal lead nowadays, with the shortened quarters, it's definitely harder to come back from. I've done it again. But yeah, it was just good to see the Lions just take a bit of control. They were really challenged by the Dockers last week, so it was good to see them come out this week against a side like the Eagles and definitely just take control of the game when it was needed to be taken control of in the second half. So good on the Lions, a 30-point win over the Eagles and giving them their second win of the season. And with all the home games that they're going to get, they have another one against the Crows coming up this week, so they definitely are taking advantage of the home games as they should be, like the Gold Coast Suns are right now, which is the first Sunday game. The Gold Coast Suns absolutely annihilated the Crows from the get-go. It was just all Gold Coast. Every time the Crows tried to move it out of their back line, it would just come straight back in, and the pressure kept coming in and kept coming in. And we know how it works. When you keep getting balls in your forward line, eventually their back line are going to crack. And well, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes with decent back lines like Collingwood, Richmond, Hawthorn, they won't crack for a little bit. So you got to find other avenues into your forward line. But the Gold Coast Suns absolutely just took their opportunity, capitalized on the repeat entries that they had in the forward into their forward line, and the Crows back line just couldn't handle it. They seemed just out of whack, the Crows back line, and the Suns definitely capitalized on that. And Matt Rowell, I mean, he is an absolute gun. He was one of the leading disposal getters on the ground. He just took the Crows to the absolute to absolute hell, pretty much. Like, he just absolutely beat them up. He is a strong ass man. He's got his shit tucked in. He's an absolute weapon, and it's so good to see that he's just being used in his correct fashion, and he's absolutely controlling games. He's just a unit. He's absolutely a unit. It's good to see. And yeah, the Suns just seem to have a lot of cohesion going around at their team right now, which is good to see because they didn't used to have that cohesion, but now they do have that cohesion. They just they're working with their strengths at a good pace, which is good to see. And the Crows, on the other hand, well, what do we say about them? Another loss, another heavy loss. I'm pretty sure they scored 35 last week. They scored 29 this week. And some people will say they're in a tanking phase, but they shouldn't be scoring very low scores right now. They should still at least be competing hard in the games, but you know, right now they're not. Pretty sure I missed a game. Yep, I missed Geelong and Carlton. Geelong and Carlton. What a game this was from the Blues. It was a test to see if last week's comeback was just a one-off thing and they're actually still a bad club. But they came out this week all guns a-blazing, and they knew they had to. It's good that they're learning from each week. They knew that if the Cats got off to a hot and flying start, that it would be hard to come back, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They want to be the ones with the good lead at the start, and this time they got the good lead at the start, but they almost dropped it to the Cats. The Cats came within one kick, but they just couldn't get over the line, Geelong, which it almost makes me proud to see Carlton actually learning from previous years, because, you know, in previous years they would have a good lead over a good opposition and then absolutely blow it. But this time, with the maturity of players like Eddie Betts, well, it was all Eddie Betts in the last minute, they were able to hold on and just slow the game down and just get the ball movement to them and just switch off the momentum that the Cats had in the last couple of seconds, which is good to see. So it's good to see. I've said that so many times, but it is good to see that the Blues are maturing and holding on to small leads like they weren't able to in the past couple of seasons. Now, finally, we're on to the last game between the Dockers and the Power. And this game was a bit of a scrap at the start, and the Dockers actually brought out their A game, I guess, or a bit of maturity themselves. They've been in so many close games that I thought they could win this one, but then Port Adelaide's forward line just clicked, and I'm telling you, Brad Ebert and Robbie Gray, they are one in together. They love each other. They just know what each other. They're just on the same wavelength right now, which is good to have your small forwards on a good connection, really. And they just seem to have that connection. Robbie Gray and Brad Ebert, they just have a good connection with each other, and they know what to do at certain times. They know when to bring it into their big forwards, or they know when to crumb the ball. They just know everything about each other and the forward line, which makes Port Adelaide's forward line look menacing with all their small forwards like Dersma, Marshall. Well, he's not a small forward, but he's a new player, and saying that. And they just know what they're doing right now, Port Adelaide. They know what they're doing. They're using each other's strengths well, and their team cohesion has grown from last year. You could see little glimpses of it last year, the team cohesion, but this year it seems to be growing at a rapid rate, which is good to see for the Power, because in the last couple of years it was sort of there and then dropped off. So this season it looks like it's growing at a rapid rate, and hopefully it can stick together for the full season so Port Adelaide can get a run of finals, because they have a lot of good talent that could definitely push them deep into finals, especially their small forwards and their young recruits. So yeah, the Power came out of that game 29-point winners, and that is the round review for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I tried to make it smaller than my previous recording was. So I'll see you guys in another video soon, and see you later. Next video will be a tier video, a tier list video. I've already got it pre-recorded, so get ready for it. It may trigger a bit of you, but hope not.